What's up, guys? My name is Mateo Hall. I talk about all things finance and personal development here on this channel, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Dena Lopez. And Dena, for those of you that don't know who you are, would you mind just introducing yourself a little bit here?
Sure. I am Dena Lopez. I'm a realtor in Northern Nevada, and I'm also the productivity coach for our Sierra Nevada Market Center out here in Sparks. And we run anywhere from 35 to 50 people in the productivity coaching program. And it's just taking agents from that brand new, freshly licensed to knowing how to build a business, run a business, and take care of their clients.
So how long have you been in real estate for then? We'll start from the beginning.
Okay. Oh, so long ago. No, it wasn't that long ago, actually. It was only 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the past 7 years, do you know off the top of your head how much money you made last year?
Oh, I know how much money I made last year, yeah.
Last year. Do you care about disclosing that at all?
So are you talking about in real estate or real estate and coaching?
Let's talk about like big picture, every stream of income that you have that you can.
Oh, gosh, I can't add all those up on the spot. No, there's not that many, but let's just, in real estate last year, I cleared $200,000.
$200,000. Wow.
Just over.
Absolutely amazing. And that was just in 7 years of doing real estate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I have other irons in the fire.
Right.
There's things, you know, I've got family. I take a lot of vacations. I like to play. So really, if I had focused 40 hours a week
Right.
in real estate, I could have easily cleared 7 figures.
Wow.
And most people would say, wow, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because here at Keller Williams, at least, we believe in the life by design. And my design for my life is to spend time with my grandchildren and my family first. And that's what I'm doing.
How many hours were you working then if you weren't doing like the standard 40-hour work week?
Oh, now you want me to tell all my secrets?
All of the secrets. I'm going to ask you to disclose every little nitty-gritty thing.
So, you know, it varies depending on the season. But if we look at it overall over the year, just in real estate, I was probably spending about 10 hours a week just in real estate. Now, you have to understand, most people can't do 10 hours a week. When we really dig down and get focused,
right,
and we've sharpened our arrow to the point where it can penetrate and it goes right to its target, that's when we can operate at a level where we can either make more money or cut down the hours that we're working.
So how long did it take for you to actually get to this point that you could only do 10 hours a week and still be making a very healthy living?
Well, so I think my first year, I worked the whole time, my whole 7 years, I probably have averaged about 10 hours a week. Of course, sometimes during the summer, you know, I get 7 or 8 transactions in escrow at one time, and that may end up being a 20-hour week.
Right.
You know, but then there's other times where things are a little bit slower, and that's only a 5-hour a week. But really, I've been doing this kind of 10-ish hour a week thing since I started, since year one. I think my first year I closed 17 deals, which put me right around 75,000. And then, so my goal is not to necessarily up the hours that I work, but be better at everything that I do so that my income increases without my workload increasing.
So you're just kind of starting to scale. Are you using any type of leverage in this?
Oh, I have to. I couldn't do that without the leverage. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. I have, you know, a TC. Most of the time I have had an assistant.
What's a TC?
A transaction coordinator.
Okay.
So I'm not a detailed person. I am a bullet point person. I want to negotiate the contracts. I want to get the job done. And I want somebody else to take care of the details. And that's what the transaction coordinator does for me. And she manages my timelines. And she honestly is, some of them have been more like my boss than me being their boss, because they're like, hey, Dena, you have an inspection on this day, go do it. Okay. And I'm like, okay. And I'm so good with that. Like, I love that.
So you're really looking to just be interacting with other people instead of all of the paperwork.
Yeah, I don't like the paperwork. I like the negotiations. I like writing contracts. I like that part. I don't necessarily like sending out the disclosures and getting, you know, initials and signs. And some people just really thrive on that stuff, and they love it. Not me, so I'm going to hire that out.
Okay.
I'm going to leverage that and let somebody else do that.
So you said that sometimes they feel like a little bit more of your boss. Would you agree that going into real estate, you're still your own boss, or is it different?
No, totally. Like if I didn't like what they were doing, I would fire them.
Yeah, granted, you're still the one that's paying their salary.
Still him, yeah, still him. But I like that. I like that they hold me accountable to my goals. Because I have to be held accountable as well if I'm going to hold them accountable to what they need to do. And so for me, it's just a win-win situation. You do what you love, I do what I love, and we all win. And that goes for more than just my TC, but my administrative assistant, whoever's doing my marketing, all of those things.
So how many people total do you have on your team then?
Right now we have 4.
Okay.
We have 4 people. And so we all kind of have our specialties, but we all, with the exception of our transaction coordinator, who's new and we're just training, we all are cross-trained. Like we can do anything.
Okay.
But there's things that we like doing more. So if one of us goes on vacation, things don't stop. They continue going, but it may just be like, this is annoying.
You just kind of buckle down, but you're never really caught with your pants down like, oh, what do we do now?
Oh, I hope not.
That's good.
I hope not. No, and it just makes for a really fun environment. I know you've heard me say it before. If it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. I just, everything we do, we should have fun. And if we're not able to have fun out of it, we should change it. And to some people, fun is sitting behind their computer and doing the paperwork and doing that. And that's great. To me, fun is winning. And winning means that my clients are winning and they're getting what they need and they're achieving their goals. And to me, that's fun.
That sounds really amazing. So I guess then moving on to a slightly more philosophical level, if we want to put it that way, how would you be rating your quality of life and your day-to-day activities outside of work even?
Like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Rating? I would say that I'm pretty high up there. Like most days, probably at a 9. But there's some days where I suck at life.
I feel like everyone does.
Yeah, and I even suck at play. And you find yourself when not being that sharpened arrow, not being that point, not getting your stuff done, sitting on the couch, not achieving your goals, watching Netflix or whatever. I try to make sure that those are less and less every year.
Right.
Because if I'm going to have a relaxed day, I want it to be relaxed out on the lake.
That makes sense.
I want it to be intentional relax and not lazy relax.
There's this quote that my old choir teacher would say. She would say that only the best cheesecake would do. And what that kind of boils down to is that if you're going to be eating some sugar and cheesecake, actually enjoying something, don't just have a Snickers, because a Snickers, you're going to eat it, it's going to be great, whatever. Go out there and have some quality cheesecake, because you're going to be having the calories anyways. So if you play hard, right?
Yes, totally. And so I do, I have those days. Most days are 7 or above. Most days are a 9. But those 7s, and then sometimes they're needed, your body will tell you that. But sometimes, sometimes it's just pure not motivated or lazy. And then, how do we get past that? Which is something that we have to train ourselves and teach ourselves to do, get past that, because you can wake up every morning and feel like that.
Do you have something that really drives you, that you ever catch yourself slacking off and something that reminds you, hey, I need to get back on track because of X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, I usually go shopping.
Okay.
So I mean, we've built a really nice lifestyle, and I'm at that point where I don't have to be like, oh, I can't afford this or I can't afford that. If I want it, we can go buy it. It's really hard at Christmas to buy for each other, but for the most part, I do like to shop. I like pretty things. I like sparkly things.
Right.
And so reminding myself that if I don't work, I don't get these luxuries and vacation. I like lavish vacations. I mean, not super lavish, but
being able to treat yourself every now and then.
Absolutely. And if I don't if I just sit on the couch all day, every day,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. That is my vacation. And ain't nobody want to go to my living room for vacation, like,
That's
including
fair.
me.
Do you think you ever have days that are kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where you're starting to like overwork yourself to a point where you have to take a conscious step back?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's always times like that. And as I get older, they come more often, and where I actually have to take the day off to relax. The idea, though, is to make sure it's scheduled and it's intentional. So it's not just, I don't feel like it. Who cares what I feel like when I wake up? Who cares? There's things that need to be done, and we get those done. But if I know that my body's being drained and I'm working and working and working and I'm putting way more than, and it's not always just business. Sometimes it's family with grandkids and things like that. Then I know that, okay, come Thursday, I only have 2 appointments and they're on Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm going to chill out the rest of the day.
Okay, so just being able to pace yourself through everything and just intentionality through it all.
Intentionality is key.
Okay, this is going to be a really loaded question, so I'm going to prepare you for it. Would you consider yourself successful?
Absolutely.
Now, how do you define success?
That's a better question. That's a good question. I define success on the value of your life.
Okay.
Definitely not on the amount of money that you bring in. But that does play into the value of my life. You know, do I have to work to keep the lights on? I mean, yeah, I do. But am I worried about that? It's not in my subconscious that I'm worried about it. Like, I know that our electric bills are paid and we have money to do that and, you know, make our house payment and all that stuff. And we have options. So that's not something that I was at one time, where like we had our electricity off before. We've had cars get repossessed, you know, in the past. But we're not there anymore. But even more, so that does play a part in success. But the success to me is being able to, we went to my 6-year-old grandson's first basketball game last night.
Okay.
And yeah, all he does is just chase the ball. But being able to go there and watch that and make sure that they know that they're a priority in my life, and being able to spend time with my husband and going on vacations and being there for my kids, and that to me is the success. That's the true success. And those are the things that if that was taken away and I had all the money in the world, I would not be a success. But if I have all those things and the money was all taken away, I would still consider myself a success.
So even if you could make $1 million a year, making the same amount of work that you were doing, but for some reason or another, you weren't able to make it towards those basketball games, you don't think you'd want to do that?
Is that a real question?
No,
Mateo, I would not. Because if I wanted to do that, I would have already done it.
Exactly. I feel like there's this big stigma that, well, once you make $1 million, that's a lot of people's numbers. I have to make $1 million, or I have $1 million in net value, and that's when I'll become successful. But it's kind of living proof that you have the capability of doing it, but you would rather be spending time with your family and actually enjoying life than going out and just making all that money.
And that's great. And actually, that is our goal. However, our goal is to do that without sacrificing the other.
Yeah.
So becoming better at what we're doing now, leveraging, building the systems and models that will allow us the freedom to spend time with our family and continue our lifestyle, our life by design, and make $1 million. That's our goal this year.
That's nice. So what kind of growth have you been seeing on your team for the past couple of years? What kind of numbers are you guys shooting for?
Which numbers? Like closings?
Yeah, so for income this year, of like GCI, how much money you plan on earning?
Well, so our goal this year is $500,000. That was last month. Was our goal last month. Now, my husband got his license, and I don't remember where we were at. Oh, we were at the award ceremony. We were at the award ceremony that you were at. And he said, you know what? I think I want to be a millionaire real estate agent. So I guess that's our new goal.
Wow.
For this year.
Just doubling down to that 7-digit club.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I like
I mean,
it.
what happens if we only make it 75% of the way?
Well, then that's still 3x on last year.
Right.
So if someone else was getting into any type of new venture or industry and they're trying something they don't know, what would be your tips for success to actually accomplish what they're dreaming of?
Oh, I have a really good one. I'm so glad you asked this.
Okay.
Let me talk straight to the camera. Show up for work.
It's that simple?
So it's that simple. But I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. It's
Okay.
not like you can't just show up, clock in at 9 o'clock in the morning and then sit there and do nothing. When I say show up, I mean show up.
Right.
Do the things that count. Figure out what it is that's your dollar-making activity and do those first. Get your big rocks out of the way. Most of us have heard that saying about the professor that put the rocks in the jar and blah, 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 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy. It really is. Do that. What is it that I can do today that's going to help drive me towards my goal? And what are those things that if I didn't do, nobody would ever notice, and leave those behind?
Well, how do you separate that from, say, you realize that a business venture isn't going to work? You start giving up on something, it hasn't been successful for the past year. When do you finally cut your losses?
I don't.
Fair enough.
I would have to say that if I can't say that I've ever been there. So I don't know necessarily what the answer to that question is. But I would say that if you've gone back and re-inspected your model and revised your model, if you've gone and found those people that have done it and are modeling after them,
Right.
success leaves clues. Find somebody that's more successful than you and follow their clues. Usually, and maybe this is 100%, I could be wrong.
Okay.
Because some things happen that's out of our control or whatever.
Right.
If you're following a model of success, you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
But what we typically do is say, I don't really like that model the way that it is. I'm gonna do this. And you get off the path.
You're starting to reinvent the wheel.
What happens to a train when it comes off of its tracks?
It'll crash.
It crashes. Yeah, the same thing for us. If we're not following those tracks and staying on the model of success, then we'll crash and we won't succeed. When we follow those models and we implement the systems and we sharpen ourselves to that point where we are penetrating through the obstacles, we can't not succeed.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it. We can't not succeed.
I like that. The determinism, if you're really focused on something and if you bring all of the models in place by everyone that's done it before you, then there's proven systems that work, whether it be Gary Keller or Graham Stephan, whoever you idolize, they've proven that it can work. Now, this is, I'm going to talk about some investments if you're comfortable with that, because this is a finance channel. So are you invested in anything right now? How are you preparing for your retirement?
So we have real estate investments. We have like my husband's 401k from his old jobs and different stuff there that I'm not really involved in. And then we just started getting into crypto.
Okay.
And I know they say don't look at it every day. Well, I'm not the kind of person that freaks out over stuff like that.
Right.
Don't put it in there if you can't afford to lose it. You know. But I love checking it. Sometimes I check it like 3 times a day. Like I love watching it go down, and then when it goes down, I'm like, let's put more money in.
Exactly. You just buy the dip, right? Diamond hands.
So I mean, it's kind of like real estate, you know, but it's like on the spot, and so that's kind of like our fun, you know, fun money, I guess. I don't know. Like,
you have a little bit more risk tolerance to it. If it
Yeah.
drops 50%, it won't be the end of the world.
Yeah, just wait it out.
Yeah.
Just wait it out. So, and then we are on, you know, we know what we need to retire, which is $3.5 million. and that'll put me at retirement in 4 years. So if I retire 5 years, I'm almost 51. If I retire at 55, we need $3.5 million to continue to live the lifestyle that we're living for 35 years. And that's with our houses being paid off, and we have it. So we have we really only need $2 million to continue our lifestyle. That gives us one more million to be able to play money. I'm not talking vacations because that's built into the $2 million.
Okay.
I'm talking flex money. Just
go out there, have some fun.
More investments that we could afford to lose if we needed to.
Yeah.
And then $500,000 because I always overspend. So
Okay.
So that's how I figured out, obviously that $2 million was broken down into what we need every year and all of that stuff. And in our real estate will be paid off next year, our houses. So we have very little debt. Most everything we pay for cash.
Yeah.
The boat, the RV, the cars, all that stuff we pay for cash. So we don't carry debt with us.
So you're not just going into debt on a ton of things with wheels and motors and toys.
Right. No, I don't want to live for those things.
Yeah.
I want to live with those things.
Wow. Can you say it one more time?
I don't want to live for those things. I want to live with those things.
Did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah, just now.
I like that.
That was pretty good.
Okay. Now, did you ever keep like a super strict budget or anything as you were building your wealth journey? No?
No. That's probably where I really need areas of improvement. No, and that is what is, I grew up very, very poor. Like, we were homeless at times. I didn't know we were homeless. I thought we were camping.
Oh, no.
But now that I'm older and I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, we were homeless, definitely. And so, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just where we were at, as a family. And my mom did the best that she could with what she had. So I didn't grow up with money at all. So the first thing that I had to overcome was that poverty mindset. And then I had to overcome that spend everything you make. Because we were used to, our lifestyle was you have nothing. At the end of the week, there's nothing left. And usually 2 or 3 days before the end of the week, there's nothing left. And so realizing that not everything had to be spent before the end of the week, before the next paycheck came. And so changing those things little by little. And because, like I said previously, I like nice things. I like pretty things. I like things that sparkle. And typically those are more expensive. So I've always been a hard worker, which I inherited from my parents. Even though we were very poor, they worked very hard. And so if I wanted nice things, I had to work really hard. And so before I got into real estate, I did work. I worked myself into, I have always been an entrepreneur. So from a teenager, I was self-employed. Don't ask me about that. And then I worked for companies and stuff and did different things. It held jobs for quite a long time, as a long-term employee. And then went back into self-employment for 12 years and then went back into working for somebody else for 7 years and then went into real estate. But when I was working for those other people, it was like, you're working and working and working and doing more and more and more to achieve more, to get more, to be able to buy more, to be able to spend more. And there was we lived an abundance lifestyle, but there was no abundance left over.
Okay, so there's this perfect zero line at the end of everything.
Yes. And we did the, what's the financial guy's name?
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey, yes. We did that a couple times. We even paid for our kids to go through it. And it helped. It did help hugely. But I can't say that I've ever been on a strict budget. We went from, my husband and I together always made decent money, as adults. But we went from having no savings, having lots of fun. We still had lots of fun. Having no savings to real estate, where we really had more than enough. And we didn't have to implement that strict budget. That's not to say I shouldn't.
Okay, so
it's definitely not to say I shouldn't.
That if you could give a message to your younger self, whether it be about finance or just life in general, even, what would it be?
Get your real estate license at 18, like Mateo did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just starting sooner.
Starting sooner. I mean, I don't know that I was responsible enough at that age to have made a success of real estate or mature enough. So it's hard to say. You know, I look back at my life and I think, wow, we've overcome a lot.
Right.
You know, I was pregnant at 16 with my oldest daughter, who's now a licensed real estate agent on my team.
Very successful.
Yeah, very successful. And so looking back on my life, there's very little that I could say I would do totally different because it brought me to where I am today. But definitely being a better money manager would have helped. I wouldn't be 51 and just now getting to that point where retirement is, and I know 55 is young to retire for some people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be just now seeing that in my sights, you know, and like I said, growing up poor, we didn't see, like, I never had dreams of owning a big house,
Right.
or having like this big beautiful wedding. I didn't have dreams like that because I didn't see it. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know it was really a thing, you know. And so if we don't see it, we don't have that vision. We'll never attain it, you know, if we can't see it. So I think getting out there and seeing those things and seeing vision,
Right.
and what is possible was really my first step into recognizing that there was more to be had.
That's absolutely amazing.
It's pretty cool, huh?
I guess finally wrapping up, if there's any last things you'd want to say to anyone that may be watching, whether it be about life, finance, your favorite flavor of spaghetti pasta, what would it be?
I wish you had prepped me for this.
No, see, so what you guys don't know is this is completely on the spot.
Yes.
She didn't know what we were coming in here to talk about. I asked her, hey, do you want to do an interview? And she said, of course, because she's amazing.
And I love Mateo.
And I brought her in cold here, so she had no idea what I was asking here. And wrapping up, if you tell...
Okay, I have something.
Okay.
I have something. Love. And that sounds so cheesy, but love well. Love people where they're at, no matter where they're at. I think about the people in my past that loved me right where I was at when I was a rebellious teenager and not so nice, not at all nice. And people loved me through that. And so love the people that you're with, love them well, love them in the way that they receive it, and be kind to everybody. Because in the end, that's really all that matters. And when we do that, like Mateo hears me say this all the time, our job is just to love people as real estate agents. Now that means that we're educated and we know what we're doing so that we can serve them well. But our job is to just really love them and help them with the area that we're in the area of our expertise.
Right.
And so that's part of love, you know, and just be the best human you can be. Wow. And I believe that success will follow that.
That's amazing. It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Well, thank you so much for your time. If you just say one last thing, look into the camera for me.
You keep saying that.
No, this is the last thing, like 2 more sentences. Just look into the camera and you got to say, remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm.
Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm.
Awesome.
Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly. Okay. Thank you so much again. What'd you think?
Cat. I need